here trying to get that updated. Hello, hello, everyone. Amy, can you come plug this in for me?
Yeah.
Over here on this side. Plug it into that top power strip spot.
Sure.
There we go. Oh, sweet. There it is. Hey, everybody. We thought we were going to be real late or not at all, but we're here as usual. I went to set everything up about an hour ago, and I turned on, and there was no camera feed. So I went through all the troubleshooting and yada yada, and then I had to re-upload some software, and then ultimately, after the new software was installed, I had to turn it off and turn it back on, and it worked. But I had done that several times, so.
And that literally, it started working like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like 2 minutes ago, it started working.
So then I was real emotional because I was like, I'm going to go in the chat and tell everybody we got to go over to a cell phone. And then
it's the worst when we have to like change it last minute because something doesn't work, and you try all this stuff and then the tech doesn't work.
It was just so awesome though, because everyone in the chat was like, hey, hey, hey. And it like was making me tear up. I'm like, I love this community. Everyone's so great.
Way to go. You guys made Amy cry. So I have been at this computer trying to fix it right here for like an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm a little cold because it's like 40 degrees in this shop. But anyway, we'll get started here. All right. So welcome, everyone. I'm Chad from Turner's Warehouse. If you're in the chat, say hello. Let us know who you are, where you're from. Let us know if it's your first time or your 20th time. Anything like that. And we will try to have some fun today to make up for tech issues. Boy, look how dirty this lathe is. Somebody needs to clean this thing. All right, get that wiped up. Uh-oh, my sticker's coming off. Need a new sticker. So, anyway, what's been going on, everybody? All right. I see Kim, Aaron, Joel, Jim, Homerlux, Myra. All right.
Roman and Marquetta are in the chat. Jim's in the chat.
Cool.
It sounds like Jim's probably going to be coming out for the open house.
Which Jim?
Spalding.
Oh, cool. That'll be awesome. We'd love to see you, Jim. Yeah, so Amy mentioned the open house. You want to talk about that, Amy?
Yeah, so the open house is set to go. So I will be in the newsletter today. I have words, I can use them. In the newsletter today, I sent out kind of like the official schedule, and then I'll post the official schedule on the socials later today. But on Friday the 7th, Zach Higgins will be here. He'll be doing a resin casting demo on Friday at 11. And that's just going to be like a chill day. It's not the big day. And then Saturday the 8th is like the big day. We're going to have a bunch of vendors out back. 10 a.m. Jim Godoy from Cocoon Blanks will be here. He's going to be doing like a resin casting 101. 11 a.m. will be Kate Haro from Bow and Haro and Bullseye Turning Supply will be here. And I think she's going to do like maybe her Apollo or her Artemis and maybe some stuff with hemp wood. I don't know, because those are like her specialties. And then we'll have like a lunch. We're going to have Iron Rhino Forge here doing forging demonstrations. Our local AWA club will be out there. Yep, Arizona Wood Turners. Shout out to them. They're so awesome. They're going to have some volunteers come, and they'll be out back with a booth turning and talking about the club. Rycon will be here talking about tools and chucks and stuff. They'll have a booth. Dan from Carvings by Dan will be here. He'll be doing some carving and selling some of his awesome custom knives. Then, who else is going to be out back? Record Power is going to be out back.
One important thing is if you can't come, we will live stream the demonstration. So that's going to be cool. And in here where we make the videos and stuff is where the main demos will be, because behind the cameras we'll open up some space and have seats. But then outside we have kind of like a back parking lot. We're going to have at least, what, 3 lathes? AWA?
AWA and Record Power. Which like I'll do like I do when I go to shows, and I'll do like some lives on our socials to like walk around out there and talk to the vendors. Yeah. And then the ones that will be live streamed are Jim, Kate, and then Zach will be on at 11:30. He's going to show us the finishing of whatever he cast the day before, hopefully, I think is what's happening, if we can make that happen. And then at 3 p.m., Emily Ford is going to be doing a Halloween demonstration, which is so cool. And then
That'll be fun.
If you are coming in person, like I know some people are planning on traveling from out of town, if you are coming in person, Zach is also offering some one-on-one sessions, and then Emily's doing a 3-day seminar all day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that following week. And
That'll
there's
be
a
cool.
few spots open left for that, which is awesome.
Yeah, Emily's a lot of fun, and you'll learn a lot from her. She's an excellent turner and a great teacher. So if you can come, there'll be great demos. There'll be a lot of fun out back. There'll be pizza and probably drinks, I would imagine.
Kimberly, 100%.
I think we got to make coffee. It's so cold.
Kimberly says she's outgrown her baby Harbor Freight lathe, and if she comes over, she wants a new lathe tossed in her car.
We can make that happen. We have a few. Absolutely. But it'll be a lot of fun. Saturday, like Amy said, Saturday is the main day. So if you can only come one day, definitely Saturday. Friday is going to just be one demonstration and kind of some talking and stuff. So Saturday will be the big one. It'll be a lot of fun.
And we'll have some cool sales going on too, for everybody.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, if you can't make it, you can still have fun by watching, and there'll be some live streaming. And like Amy said, she'll do some videos and stuff on the socials. So it'll be cool.
We try and make it the best we can for people who can't be here in person.
It's not usual for me to be chilled in Arizona.
The date is February 8th.
February 8th, indeed. All right, so also a real quick note for anyone local. Next week, Amy and I will be gone next week. So since we comprise 50% of the staff, there will be limited store hours. All shipping and orders will still go out normal, but store hours to actually come into the store will be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. next Monday through Friday and the following week. So 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. if you're coming down. We just don't have, we have 2 people that can't cover it. So because Amy and I are leaving, that's what we got to do, but it'll still be fun. But they will be here doing all your orders in the mornings, answering emails and phone calls. So if you have something, leave a message and they'll get right back to you. So that's just a side note. All right, should we get going?
Let's turn some stuff.
All right. Look at that. We got Mr. Gold here. Okay. So, and then, not to pile on all the talking, but then we do have some really cool stuff planned in the future here. So I think it's going to be real exciting once we get back and get rolling on our videos and live streams and stuff. So very good. Don't forget to check out Saturday morning cartoons over Jake and the boys. They're doing some great stuff as well as they're doing a really cool Make-A-Wish fundraiser. That's really cool. And then Zach, on Saturday, you can just watch all kinds of casting and turning and stuff. Zach always does his on Saturday afternoon, so he's Resin Works. So those are 2 great things to check out on the weekend.
Jake and the boys and Jackie. Hello.
Jake and the boys and Jackie, yeah, that's true. I should say Jackie and the boys.
Yes. Totally.
So Jackie and her
Jackie and the
staff
boys.
over on Saturday morning. Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, so let's talk what we're going to do today. All right, whoa, that's not the right camera. So we're going to do some turning, and we're going to turn this Cholla handle blank, and this will be a, you know what, I think I got too many lights on. Tell me if this looks better. Tell me if that looks better. It might take a minute for you all to see, but I had some really bright lights. Hey, will you hit the other lights, Amy?
Yeah.
I should have had those on and I forgot.
Well, we kind of had some stuff going on.
So this is a piece of Cholla, although you can't really see it because it's cast square, and you can't see it at all on the ends, but there's that. But we're going to use the universal mandrel system. This is made by Stainless Bottle Stoppers in Pennsylvania. It's a really cool thing. We sell the kit like this. This is the mandrel. This is for the 1 1/4. It's got 3 bushings, and then this is also considered a bushing. And then we make this little stand for your knurled inserts, which I don't have any in here. And then you can see I keep my little Allen keys in there as well. But how this works is this thread's on, super nice. And then you're either going to use the standard shaft here, or you're going to slide a bushing over for whatever you're turning. Now in our case today, we're going to turn a pizza cutter. So I'm going to use this big bushing. It's a 15/16. And that bushing matches up. We got these back in stock if anyone's waiting. That bushing matches up to the size of the shoulder here of the pizza cutter. So I can turn this really easily and comfortably, knowing that I've kind of got a guide, kind of like pen turning, you got a guide right there. Let's see. And you can remove the washer and put a bigger one on. I'll see if I have a bigger one. The washer's nice because it keeps it from getting locked up, but I do want it up close so I can match it up nicely. Maybe I don't have the washer. But anyway, what I've done ahead of time is I've drilled and inserted a knurl insert. These come in 5-packs. They're brass. They're also made by the stainless guys in Pennsylvania. And I use these for everything that's handle, bottle stopper, anything that I'm going to use like this, because I never used to like turning this kind of stuff, because you would get it all turned and do, cool stuff, and then you couldn't really turn the end because you didn't have a way to hold it. But you can see here, now this will, when it's spinning, move a little bit. But you can see it's fairly sturdy. It's nice and locked in there because of that brass insert. Now I'm still going to turn it with a live center on it, but when I'm done, I can pull it away long enough to shape the end and sand and polish it without risking it flying in my face. So it's kind of a nice thing. So that's how we're going to do it. And we have, for this setup here, we have pizza cutters, bottle openers, bottle stoppers, coffee scoops, ice cream scoops, vegetable peelers, all kinds of stuff. So you can do a lot if you get this system. And this is the only way I'll do it now, because without this, it's just so much more difficult. But anyway, let's see what we can do here. So I'm just going to give this a little push. I don't want it super tight because it's just going to bury in. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch this out. So this is the Falcon, which I'm sure everyone's sick of me talking about, but I do really like it. So I'm going to push the tip out and go from the 60-degree cone to the spur. Uh-oh, felt like I got it stuck. Let me zoom this one in a little bit. That better? Okay. So that way, the reason I like this spur drive, it's not drive, spur live, is it'll bury the point, but then the teeth will grip it without going deeper. So it'll kind of save me some material from, getting buried into it. So there we go. So now we're nice and snug. I'm going to get a little bit bigger tool rest. All right. This one ought to do it. Sorry about that. I just whacked the mic with the tool rest. All right. But if you guys have any questions, Amy's in the chat. Obviously, we got a whole bunch of helpful people in the chat that love to answer questions. Let us know. We're just having fun here.
I just was asking people in the chat, what has everybody been working on? And Myra was saying she just finished a Cholla pen, but she's been working on her website, and that makes me excited. That's awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Myra. Why don't you shout out your website and let everybody take a look? Shout it out, shout it out.
Monarch pens, keychains. Nice, Matt.
Very cool. Okay. So, I'm surprised.
Hey, David.
I'm surprised I'm prepared as I am, being that I didn't do any preparing in the last hour. It's everything I had ready. But I am missing my glasses.
Oh, I can grab you some.
I think there's some right inside there. Would you
Yeah.
grab me a pair?
Let me grab you some.
Yeah.
Safety first, always.
Safety first. Absolutely.
Well, where's your power cap?
I'm not going to use it yet. I will.
And then I'm like, he should put his power
All right.
cap on.
Oh man, I get choices.
I brought you 2 choices.
These look like something my grandma would wear after the eye doctor, so I'm going to wear these because they're cool.
They seem legit.
They're very big. I don't have to worry about any side danger. Right? All right, so let's just round this pup. What do you guys say? Whoop, too close. Always spin it before you turn it on. That's why I wanted to show you guys that. It's always the thing.
That's funny because I was just saying safety first.
Safety first.
All right, we got people working on pen blanks. Oh yeah, fighting the sticky label on it. You
What?
just turn it off. We were just talking about the sticky label. Like you've got the sticky label on there, and it's like
Yeah.
there's no need to try and get it off. You just turn it
Oh
off.
no. So I'm just rounding this with a roughing gouge. You could use carbide, but a roughing gouge is so much easier. It's not the smoothest for resin, but actually, this is a little guy. This is like a 1 inch. Let's grab a bigger one. Oh, 1.5 inch. Oh, there we go. Woo! Took a chunk off the end.
Bye, Johnny.
What'd you say?
I said, bye, Johnny. Johnny has to go do other stuff. He'll watch the rest later.
Ooh, you know what I want to try? So Carrie just sharpened this for me. Carrie, if you're watching, Carrie sharpened this giant bowl gouge. Not too bad. It's a little wonky on the grind. It was a second-hand tool. It's working pretty good. And it's, I couldn't sharpen it on my old jig because it's 1 inch. So it's really a huge gouge. All right. Thing's heavy too. Weighs a lot of pounds. All right. It's raining red in here. Look at that. All that turning, I barely got it. So I'm going to have to go quite a bit deeper. So whoever drilled and put this insert in didn't do a good job of keeping it straight. But that's okay.
I think it was Chad, actually.
It may have been me. I don't remember. Actually, I think I did this in like August. So it probably was me.
So you're blaming August, Chad?
Huh?
You're blaming August, Chad?
That was a 2024 Chad. Now we're doing 2025.
Chad, is your blank made of Alumilite?
It is. Woo! Don't look away. It is Alumilite and Cholla. So, oh, there's a nice chip out. Look what I did. This is one of ours that we make. We make them round now. This was a square, so this one's older. It's blood red in Cholla. It's going to look cool, I think. But we make them round now, which is so much better. Because obviously, I haven't even got this one round yet. But we do stabilize our Cholla. I don't always feel like it's necessary for myself. But any blanks we sell, they're all stabilized. Time to sharpen. So you are getting a stabilized blank cast in Alumilite in a pressure pot if you get them from us, which I think is always better for these blanks.
I think they look prettier at the end when they're cast in or stabilized first. I don't know why. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just because I'm used to it.
I've had people ask me because like they do look really good, and I think that is part of it. The stabilizing makes them look really nice. Hey, you want to close that door down?
Mm-hmm. Hey, somebody's asking if you can switch to an Easy Wood carbide tool to show off cutting to the round?
Sure, sure. So here's a round non-negative rake. Round non-negative rake, and we'll just jump right in here. You can see it throws chips nicely. Maybe you can see. Let's see.
Yeah, I feel like.
So that's the round non-negative rake, Easy Wood. I mean, if you're going to get your first carbide, round is the way to go. We'll get back here where it's a little rougher.
That's a cool question, actually. Like, what was your first tool or your first favorite tool? And then what's your favorite tool now?
Yeah, you know, and so like, obviously we're going from a big roughing gouge to a little round carbide, but you can see they both remove material just in different rates. But then you can even look at like, this is a tiny hunter tool. I mean, the thing is like, I don't even know, a 1/16 of an inch around. It's tiny, but it throws awesome little ribbons. Look at that. So the size of your tool isn't as important as the way it cuts. And this one is, the tool is set, the insert, it's so small you probably can't see it, but it's set at a negative rake. Now, we'll grab a negative rake easy wood. So this is a square easy wood tool in negative rake. Again, throws nice ribbons. Real easy to use. I'm going to speed up a little bit too. I feel like we're getting closer to round.
I feel like I was very lucky because when I first started turning, you had all the tools, so I got to try out everything, which is not always the case. But I did like the round easy wood tool best when I first started.
Yeah.
Then I liked the square, like the rougher. And then now my favorite one, I like using the bowl gouge sometimes, but my favorite one is the first hollower with the tiny, tiny tip.
Yeah.
That thing's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like that little one I just showed. The hollower is little tiny. Like
yes.
this.
Roman's asking, Easy Wood now has negative rake square cutters? Yes, absolutely they do.
There's the hollower number one, the little tiny insert, versus this is just the mini CI3. And again, it just throws tons of shavings. So you could do everything with one of these if you wanted to or needed to. Boy, this lathe is covered in red. All right, looks like we're fairly round. We got one little flat spot. So, let's talk about shape. How do y'all pick shape on something like this?
Real quick, before you move on
Yeah,
to
real
that, we
quick.
got a good question. Somebody's asking, what is the difference between like a negative rake and a regular?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between a negative rake and a regular? So when you have an insert on a carbide tool, the top is flat. So up to the edge, it's just flat, and then the edge comes down, and that's the bevel, so to speak. On a negative rake, the top is flat, but then at the very end, it bevels down, and then it still bevels under. So it's more like this shape versus flat and then cut back, if that makes sense. So there's probably some good charts that Amy could maybe find and throw in the chat or something, but it's just the way the edge works. So by the edge being down versus being flat and then beveled, it's less aggressive, it takes off less material, and it's harder to get big chips out of it. So anytime you're turning resin or hard woods or something that you just anticipate is going to be difficult, negative rake is good. Now, this is kind of the tool I use a lot. This is the square mini, but it's kind of not mini, it's normal size. But I have a negative rake on here, and I just don't switch it back and forth, probably out of just time, and it's not a big deal. So I use the negative rake most of the time now because I don't want to switch back and forth. If I had two tools, maybe I'd just keep one regular and one not. So.
Hey, folks are asking, can you use the skew?
Yeah, we can use the skew, sure. So a skew is a high-speed steel tool, and there's different sizes. This is a 3/4, I believe. Yep, 3/4. The profile is angled. They're fairly easy to sharpen because they're just kind of beveled both directions. Kind of like how we were talking about negative rake, that's kind of the shape I was describing. But we can skew it up. So with a skew, you want to kind of just come over the top. I don't know how sharp this one is. They're real nice on the edges because you can round over. Or you can bring it the other way. And some people will use them like to cut on a bowl, to cut a tenon. You can kind of use them as to go in there and cut your angles. But skew, you want to kind of just be a little on the high side. This one's not very sharp. Needs a little love. Needs a lot of love, actually. Let's see if we got another one. Here's a bigger one. This may be factory sharpened. I don't know that I've ever used this skew. It's giving me fine little ribbons.
I was about to say, it looks like it's doing well.
Yeah, so skews are good. Some people are really good. We have a local guy, Tim. He's going to be here demonstrating for Record Power. He's awesome with a skew. He's really, really good. And if you've ever seen, if you go on our channel on here, a couple years back, look for a spatula video, and that's Tim using the skew, and it's kind of crazy to watch because he's just like boop, 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 doing all the different shapes and doing lines and indents and cuts and all kinds of stuff, and he just loves the skew. So it's pretty cool. So let's talk about design. Goodness, I got shavings stuck everywhere. Those thin shavings off that skew are like staticky or something. So, you know, obviously we don't have to use the whole thing here, but we've got a good amount, and it's a pizza cutter, so you don't want it like a little stubby thing. But then how do you determine, and I'd love to hear how everyone does this, like how do you determine your shape and size? Because I tend to always have like a little bit of a stopper, like bulb at the front so that my hand doesn't slide. And then I like to kind of either taper to the back or have the same thing like a pommel, so to speak, at the back. And it's just obviously for holding. But with a pizza, you're going to be pushing on it too. So you don't want it to be uncomfortable to hold, and you don't want it to, you know, be flimsy in any way. I'd say the same thing with ice cream. You know, like if you're really digging into something hard, you got to have some leverage. So I'm just curious how everyone does that, or how they decide.
That's your Record Power spur drive that you're using, right?
Yeah, this is the Falcon. It comes with all the inserts. It's the live center, not a spur drive. So drives are on this side. Drives are what drive the material, so think of it like that. So the drives go on the headstock side, and the lives go on the tailstock side. So this is the live center, but it comes with 4 different inserts for that. And I'm sure there must be other spur drive live centers, but I hadn't seen them, so I really like this one. And I use it all the time. All right, let's bring this down a little more.
We have a vote. Divide the front measurement by pi.
By what?
By pi, because it's like pizza pie.
I don't know what pi is on this thing.
It's like...
Oh, divide the front measurement by pi?
Yeah, 3.14 or something is pi, right?
How would that work?
That's awesome, Kimberly.
Wait, I don't know if I follow. So we need to measure this? Right here?
Well, I think she's
length?
talking about the length. I could be wrong, though.
The length? It's going to be about 6 on the nose. Because I'm going to waste a little bit back here where I've got my live center, but the rest will be fair game.
Oh, yep. Robert's got it.
You guys figure that out while I finish rounding this thing. We got to get it a little smaller. It's pretty big still.
Hey, Charles Stanley is in the chat.
Oh, I almost wore my Charles Stanley shirt today if I'd only known. Uh-oh. Somebody forgot their tailstock lock. You should ask Charles how we determine the shape of a pizza cutter handle. Because if anybody knows pizza, it's that guy. See, I know that my bushing is just under 1 inch, and this is still much, much larger. So this is still a large handle. Ooh, it's nice and warm. And see, I got a little ways to get to the Cholla because I kind of want to expose more Cholla. I'd say it's still too big. Don't you think?
I mean, for some people it might be, and for some people it might not be, depending on
Well,
how
yeah, if you
large
got
their
giant
hands
hands.
are, right?
So I'm gonna bring this down to the bushing here. Bump my bushing, that's all right.
I think larger is better just because the pizza cutter is hefty. Like the slicer is heavy and hefty.
Yeah, it's a big slicer, so. Man, look at how much red is on here. Did Charles have any input?
You guys in the chat's making me laugh. Yeah, Charles said, well, take pie, divide it by pi, then add cheese.
Cheese pizza.
Cheese.
All right, so we got a little bit of a bevel here, and we'll leave that, maybe. Amy, you come draw it out. You decide. You got to pick, say like, okay, here's your lip, and then I want bead here, or no bead, or...
No, you should do it the way you want, because what I would want might not be what you like.
Well, but it doesn't matter. Like, this is it.
I feel like I would make it just tapered a little bit, but I don't think
Taper to the back a little?
I don't think I'd go down in again, but
Okay.
that is just me.
I think I see what you mean, like
I like
taper
a
the back.
clean look.
Huh?
I like a clean look.
Clean?
Yeah, like with pens, I don't like when they have
No
lots
pommel?
of like in and out. I don't know what pommel means, but probably yes.
You know, like the round at the back?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the power cap on.
Thank you.
I got it charged up, so I might as well wear it.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Although, it is going to be chilly in here. So the bummer with the power cap is it's a little pricey, and we just found out the price went up. But I'll tell you what, I've never used a respirator or whatever so much. So I'd say it's worth it. If I use the power cap, I won't be blowing red snot later. And everyone knows what that means. Because even though there's not a lot of dust, it's enough that you get some in your nose. So Amy says taper from here to here, right? Just a taper.
Yeah, like I think it should be a bigger handle so it doesn't have to be right in line with the bushing, but it should basically be tapered from the bushing up and then straight. That's what I'm saying. But I just asked the
Wait,
chat,
you're saying
pommel
from here
or
to here?
no pommel?
Okay. Well, if I go a little deeper, I'll get to the Cholla.
right, we have a vote for a knob at the end.
Who said that?
Kimberly.
See, I'm still not in the Cholla on that side. It's got to be right there though, because I can see it under the surface. So a knob down here.
Yeah.
We'll see. Let's see how it looks. Let me get out a beading tool just in case. No, I'll use this.
Robert says, I normally do a larger diameter 1/2-inch bead at the utensil end.
A what?
A pommel with a slight bulge or a palm swell.
It sounds like a knife maker there.
See, that's what's cool. Even when it's like something relatively simple, like a handle, like people can come up with all kinds of different things for how they want it to look and how it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just removing some material here. I gotta be careful though. I don't have my glasses on to make sure I'm not too close.
Can you wear them underneath that?
I can, I just didn't put them on.
Do you want me to grab them for you?
No, they're here. So we'll do a little pommel with a bead in it. Would that look cool? Or is that too much?
Yeah. Do it.
Pommel bead. I only got a little beading tool, but that'll be fine. So let's make the pommel size about there. So that'll give us our shape. We'll bead. This might look terrible, but we're gonna find out. Might look cool though too. Okay, and then we're gonna shape this down. Well, I don't want to go any deeper than that. I need to smooth that out. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Man, that beading tool is really cool. It cuts a nice round bead really well. I think that looks kind of cool on the end. Should we match the front with the back like this up here? Maybe. We'll see.
Robert said he saw a handle that was shaped with consecutive globes all the way down.
Oh, that'd be cool. All right, let's see what we got. So we're kind of there. How far? So that'll be our, I'll use the roundy to smooth that out. And then this is the square, but it's radius, so I can kind of give it an arc with a little bit of movement. A lot of wood flying, so I must be into my Cholla. Is that too big of a palm swell, you guys? Oh, let me do the bead real quick. We're gonna match the bead in the resin here. So when I'm using the bead cutter, I just kind of rock back and forth, side to side, a little bit. And I'm just looking for my bead to be rounded. And then that'll, that looks kind of cool. What do you think, Amy? I mean, once it's sanded, I think it'll look cool because obviously the red will be super bright.
It looks comfortable.
So I left a little bit of a swell. A little bit of a swell here. I can kind of even these out a little bit, I think.
I feel like the swell makes it seem like it'd be comfortable.
Yeah, it feels good when you grab it. All right, let's even that out a little bit, and I think that's going to be pretty cool shape. Let's see. Can't see it turn on my machine. It's covered in shavings. Okay, so that one looks a little bit... Oh, that feels good. All right, so that'll be the front. That'll be the back. Now what's cool is, look at the shavings. There's a lot of them. Once we've decided where we're at as far as our shape, I'm gonna pull this off. Ooh, that's chilly in there.
Is it?
It's like an
'Cause
air
blowing,
conditioner
like,
on my
cold
head.
air on you?
Yeah. All right, hat back on. Okay, so you really want to turn this whole thing until you're done, essentially, because once I take off this end, I won't have this end support, and this will move, even though it's solid and the material's hard. Lathe spinning long objects will wobble. I don't know what there's probably science, but I don't know what makes it do it. But I know a guy who had a feeder on his metal lathe, and he had like a 6-foot bar sticking out, and he turned it on, and within a few seconds of spinning, the bar bent and went like this and down and bent, and he went to reach for it, not thinking, and it shattered his whole arm. So like something about when it's spinning, it conforms it. So even though this is hard and the insert is in there, you don't want this spinning forever open. So I want to do as much as I can on the live center, with the live center on.
Somebody earlier in the store was telling me about a baseball bat, and it started wobbling and then like flew right off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could happen. So I'm going to undercut my end here as much as I can. I'm going to give this a little tiny round over. I don't want any sharp edges, and I can also do that with the sandpaper. But now I can turn this off, take away my tailstock, and then I'm going to move my tail, or my tool rest. This was all my blank here. Now I can turn this, and I'm going to turn only pushing towards the center. So I'm not going to cut across it like this. I'm only going to turn this way. And the reason is I want to only put my pressure against the line of the spindle, so to speak. Now I suppose I could cut that off too, but I think we can turn it off. You see the wobble? So I'm cutting, but I'm pushing in. Oh yeah, it's wobbling.
I gotta tell you guys, I'm moving out of the line of fire.
Yeah, move out of the line of fire. Yeah, we might be better off cutting it. That's really... Oh, came unscrewed. That was the, right here. Let me cut that, and then we'll clean it up with the lathe.
Hey, Jake. Jake Thompson's in the chat.
Jake Thompson, I've heard of him. I've heard of that guy. All right, Jake, how's the Make-A-Wish going? It looks like a lot of money's been raised. Lots of moolah. The other thing is don't cut stuff off on your lathe with it running, or you will have a bad day.
Did you pull that out of the drawer?
You know it's on the table over there. Why?
Just
Is it all dirty?
The camera was wiggling for a second, and it was funny because it was like wiggling in time to your cutting.
No, I didn't. Well, I probably bumped the drawers. My overhead camera is mounted to the back workbench, so if I open something, it shakes the...
Dang, Jake. Jake's at 5,500 for Make-A-Wish.
Dang, that's awesome. You guys rock.
Hey, we got a good question. When you stabilize the Cholla, does it need to be cleaned up before you cast?
Yes. Well, wait, cleaned up in what sense? Cleaned up like stabilizing cleaned up? So that's a really good question. The Cholla, when you get Cholla, if you get it raw or even buy it from someone, you need to make sure it's super clean. You want to get all the dust and dirt off of it, blow it out with air, water, whatever. Make sure it's dry. And then stabilize it. When you stabilize it, when you cure it in the oven, you're going to want to lay it down or stand it up if possible so that there's no crust that builds around it. Like if you have it laying on something flat, you'll get that crust in it, and that'll be not good for your casting. You'd want to knock all that off before the casting. But if you stand it up or put it on a rack to where it can drain, you should have very minimal of that. And then you want to take that off before casting it, absolutely. That's a good question. So, I feel like when I spin this, I can see it moving. So maybe my live center wasn't super happy, I don't know. Like not in the center. But I think we might be able to get away with turning the end. We'll use the negative rake. I mean, it doesn't love it. I feel you. I mean, I could just sand it off, but that's also a lot of time. Let's see. I think we'll jump to sanding. So, is everybody happy with this shape at least? I think it looks pretty cool.
But it's funny because watching you do it has made me totally think about how I would do one if I was doing one.
Yeah, well,
And it
maybe
would be
next
different
week
than
is
that.
your week
But-
because you should do one. No, there's always, Amy brings up a good point. Like, there's always different ways to do it. And my way is definitely not the right way, usually. It's just how I figured out how to do it. And usually it works. Like, this will work out fine. It's just going to take a little sanding now. So let's get some sandpaper. Not the most fun thing, sanding, but some days you got to sand. I know I got some in here. Oh, there we go. 80. That'll take it down in no time. All right.
Do you have a marker over there?
A marker?
Behind.
Yes. No, I did, but I lost it earlier. Actually, Carrie took it earlier. Carrie, you watching?
You can't be just blaming Carrie on your marker.
Well, we were sharpening and she took it and hid it or something. So let's turn this thing down a little bit.
I think I found a pencil.
And I'm only gonna, this is like 80 grit. So I'm only gonna use this on the end to get rid of this nub. And then I'm gonna quickly go to another grit. But this is gonna come off in no time with 80.
Michael.
Which Michael?
Michael McEwen. He's got to go. He's got a meeting.
See you, Michael. Thanks for coming in. Isn't Michael from Canada?
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty good. Let's go to the next grit, if I have it. Well, that's a good question. I really need some 120,
That's awesome.
240.
Myra's still watching. She just muted us.
Huh?
That's so funny. Myra also had a meeting, but she's like, I just
Okay,
muted
got some
you.
120. So I went from 80 to 120. I don't think I have any 180, so I'm going to have to skip to go to 240. That's the downside of using sandpaper and having to go through all the grits here. $240. And this is Abernet. You can tell it's well used. This one has a hole in it. It's like my sock. Only it's my sandpaper. But look how much... Actually, I'm sanding way too fast. There we go.
Kimberly says, do you sell teeny tiny steady rests? Is there such a thing?
Sell what?
Teeny tiny steady rests? Or
You know,
is there such a thing?
I'm sure there is. Actually, most steady rests, you could probably get it down to this size. Because they adjust like kind of infinitely. I would imagine most of them would work, but yeah, we don't have one now, but it may be an item that we are going to build in the future with some local machine shop help. We have a local customer who just made a really great one and offered me the plans, so we might jump into that. I sure wouldn't mind having one from time to time. All right, I'm up to 400. And if you're wondering why I'm not doing the rest, because turning with carbide, we really didn't need to sand any lower than like 600 or 800, especially because we're going to sand wet. So now I can go to wet sanding, which is much better because I don't have to wear the respirator. I just didn't want to breathe all that. I didn't want to breathe all that resin dust in before we leave. We're going on vacation. I got to be strong. All right, look what I'm using. Is Roman still here? My 3G Roman, or 3G So Amazing.
Roman
right.
and Marquetta were in the chat a little bit ago.
Excellent. Well, if you're in, you're welcome to put a link to the Lathe Buddy. The Lathe Buddy is a mat. You've heard me and what's that other guy, Zach, talk about him now? They have like a waterproof bottom and then this terry cloth type thing. And they have magnets in them so they stick on your lathe, they don't fall off. But it's nice because then I hang it on the table to dry when I'm done. So
Roman has been dropping jokes in the chat today.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
Earlier when we were talking about a swell, he was like, swell is like cool but older.
That's swell. So swell. All right, so we're gonna jump.
Still here too.
We're gonna jump into some 600 wet dry. I'm gonna cut these pieces a little bigger than I normally do because this is a little bigger piece. All right.
Marquetta says we are so grateful.
So grateful. Yeah, they're really handy, and I haven't cleaned my lathe since I met Roman and Marquetta at that show and got the Lathe Buddy. So I haven't rusted up my lathe, and my lathe probably appreciates it.
Which I feel like your lathe was always...
My lathe was always real gross.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is 600 wet dry, and I like it There you can see the slurry. I'm not breathing that because it's in the water. I like doing everything wet. I think it makes the finish better. Just my opinion. Ask somebody else for a different one. And then because I cut those beads, I'm going to bend this and try to sand in the bead crack and like make sure there's no like hard square edges. What?
Roman says WD-40 makers are probably mad.
Yeah, I used to use a lot. It's funny you say that because I buy WD-40 by the gallon and refill my bottles, so they probably are experiencing a lower sales volume because of it. And 600 grit sandpaper, so. All right, this is feeling really, really smooth. Now, this is where stabilized Cholla is also beneficial because obviously sanding it's much easier. And if I had non-stabilized, it would work fine, but I wouldn't be able to do everything so quickly like we're going to do here today. We're going to sand this, dry it, seal it, finish it, all that. If I had non-stabilized, I would want to let it dry much longer. We can, for the open house, we can have the pizzas not cut, and then we can cut them with this pizza cutter.
That's cool.
Just for, otherwise we'd have to make pizzas to use it.
Kimberly asks, are those micro mesh pads?
No, so this is just 600 wet dry sandpaper. This is automotive. You can get it at any auto store or any place that sells like high quality. We do offer it. We have 600 on up to like 1,000 or 2,000, but just get good quality stuff. Don't buy Harbor Freight sandpaper. And I'm not a Harbor Freight hater at all. I actually like Harbor Freight, but their sandpaper is terrible. When you're sanding with it, the grit like comes off and it's all over the place and it's just a mess. So high quality sandpaper that they use on cars is what this is. I couldn't tell you. I know last week Zach was talking about like aluminum oxide versus yada yada. And I don't remember what this one is, but it's really good stuff. It's what we've been using for years. So you just want to sand it out.
What speed were you at?
I was at 800. I always like to do this with the lathe off after I sanded with the lathe running. Because I feel like even though it's a higher grit, I can still get those rotational lines? What's the word? You know what I mean. The lines from it spinning. Now, that being said, it's surprising how much I'm taking off here because look at the slurry on this blank. Let me show it. I don't know if the camera will show, but as I'm hand sanding this, like I'm building up a lot of slurry. Maybe you can, there you go, see it all. So you are taking material off of this, so just be aware of that.
Are you going to do a CA finish?
I am not. So that's a good point to do a CA finish or not. So, and I'd love to hear everyone's opinion because I'll tell you mine. So I'm not doing a CA finish. My plan is to sand this, clean it, dry it, seal it with sanding sealer, and then do a friction finish. And the reason being is I've done a CA finish on kitchenware before, and it does seal the item up, and it does look good for a while, but then eventually, as it gets knocked around in the drawer, it gets real beat up. And even if somebody takes really good care of it, it'll get beat up. And CA is not meant for impact, and kitchen stuff gets impacted, whether you're real careful or not.
Hey, Mike's got you covered, Mike Lexka. Radial.
Radial.
That's the word you're going for. Also, Anita
Radial.
has an awesome tip. You can use wax dental floss to clean out the area where you put the beads.
That's a good
That's
idea.
actually a really cool tip.
Dental floss, huh? Does it leave a waxy residue? I wonder. So I sanded that with 600. I'm just gonna sand like the first grit or two with the Zona. And I'm really only doing it for my resin. I'm not doing it for my wood, but the wood will get it too. Because I just want to have it a little bit more polished before we do the finish. Now the friction finish will shine up the resin as well. But if there's any scratches, it obviously will not take out scratches or cover them. It'll just make them finished.
Jim says old toothbrushes too.
Yeah, a toothbrush would be great. Yeah, see, there's a lot of great ideas out there. So,
Roman, good point. Roman says don't put these tools in a drawer. They need to be left on the counter or mounted on the wall for show.
well, ideally, yes, but
That's funny because we have a really nice scoop, ice cream scoop at home.
it's in the drawer getting
And it's
banged
in the
up
drawer. And half the time when I scoop ice cream, I just use a spoon.
because you forget we have it.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's really pretty, but it's in the drawer.
You can't leave everything on the counter because some people like kitchen gadgets, and there's
Oh my
way too
gosh.
many of them.
Some people named Chad.
I bought them for you, Amy, to make you stuff. I mean, where am I going to put the pizza cutter? Next to the creamy or the slushy machine that we need to get? I mean, come on. Or the Instapot? There's not enough room in that kitchen. What problems to have, right? Too many kitchen gadgets.
Anita says you can't really see anything. I think that's the answer to the waxed dental floss.
Oh, okay. Just getting in the cracks here. All right, I think that'll be good. I mean, it sure looks cool like this. All right, now I'm gonna take a paper towel. I don't wanna like scrub it with the paper towel because I feel like I could scratch it, although the paper towel's wet too. But I do wanna make sure it's dry. So I am gonna turn it on and hit up these cracks with the paper towel to make sure I got all the water out. Oh, there's some water. And then, I mean, I can just let this kind of sit here and spin. This will be fairly dry, fairly quickly. If I had a compressor, I could turn it on. That's hand compressor. Is this an Amish compressor? Is that a bad joke? Sorry.
Probably.
I mean, that's kind of funny, right? So it looks dry. Let's see if it feels dry. Don't need that.
That's true. Somebody was saying we need a bigger kitchen, and then Roman said kitchens and shops are never big enough.
Yep, true. True that. I got a weird transition line here I don't love. It's where I cut into it. I'm gonna have to sand that again. I don't know if you guys can see it on there. That's where I cut with the tool.
I haven't had lunch, and we're talking about kitchen gadgets now in the chat. Jim says he did beef tenderloins in the Ninja today, and I'm like, oh.
That sounds
We're
pretty
having
good.
lunch after this. That sounds good, Jim.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna roll with that. I should sand that out, but we're gonna leave it just for the sake of sakeness. All right, let's put some.
Wait, you're leaving it?
Well, it's gonna get covered with this. I don't think you're gonna see it, but I can always put it back because it's on the mandrel system, so I can always take it out. I would need to sand some more, which, you know, is kind of boring.
It kind of looks cool matte like that.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So I got a little bit of my sanding sealer left in here. Now you can thin sanding sealer, which helps it penetrate the wood a little better, especially stabilized wood, but I don't think we're going to need to. So let's wipe it on. I don't know, can you tell where the sanding sealer has gone on the wood?
I feel like there's like a 30-second delay. I can see you doing it in real time,
Yeah.
but
So even in this cold weather, this stuff is drying really fast. But I'm going to let this soak in a little bit more than I normally would because we want to make sure it's really soaked in as much as possible.
what is your sanding sealer? What did you use for sanding sealer?
It's Mylan's sanding sealer. It's the one we have in the store. It's pretty much the only one I use. You can use, there's a bunch of different brands. You can use any brand. They all work the same. You can even use like lacquer as a sanding sealer because it'll penetrate in and soak in nicely.
It's interesting that it penetrates in even though that's a stabilized piece.
Well, just remember the stabilizing pulls air out and fills grain, but theoretically, hopefully that sanding sealer is soaking into the wood itself. But I don't know. I don't know what it really does ultimately, but it sure looks cool.
Is sanding
Whoops,
sealer
wrong one.
food safe?
Is sanding sealer food safe? That I don't know, but this won't be touching the food, so I'm not worried about it. But I wouldn't use it on like a bowl unless you check on that first. Because of, yeah, see, that feels totally dry, like no tack whatsoever. It's amazing. So I don't know if it is. It might say on the can. We can look later. But generally speaking, I would say no because, like, if you use a lacquer or something, it's not. Although it's funny, a lot of things say food safe when cured, but personally, I still wouldn't want to put them on my food, you know, not knowing. Okay, so we're going to turn this on nice and slow. Yeah, that thing's a little wobbly. All right, and then I'm going to use Mylan's friction finish. Just shaking up my bottle here because it's real settled. And the trick is I'm just going to use a little bit at a time and apply it. It'll probably be harder in these beads, but that's okay.
Some Michael DeQuattro asked, my sanding sealer comes in a spray. Do I have to buff it in after I spray it?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure exactly, but probably not. I mean, unless it's just sitting on the surface.
Oh, that's interesting. Robert says shellac sanding sealer homemade can be food safe, but commercial may have chemical dryers added.
Yeah, that's always the thing is the dryers, and I don't know a lot about that, but I know that they add stuff to make it cure or make it cure better. And that's what is like the chemical component of it.
Carrie's texting me and she said that the one we have next door, the Mylan's one, doesn't say on the can.
Yeah, if it doesn't specifically say food safe, I would just assume it's not because they would want to tell you if it was.
I agree with that.
All right, I'm going to try to put some on the edge here. I'm just barely going to put it on. The beads do add a little bit of work as far as the finish and things. Try this end here. But they look cool. All right, we're going to do one more little, and I'm doing a line, which normally on pens I just do a drop, but I'm just going to do it, and I'm barely doing a line, not very thick or heavy.
Why aren't you using Devonshire or Yorkshire? Yorkshire?
Because I did the, that's a good question. Normally I use Yorkshire grip between coats, but because I did the, I Zona'd it a little bit more, that's essentially what I would have done with the Yorkshire grit. And I feel like in this case it was easier for me. And I think I got a pretty good shine going here. We'll see.
Ooh, this is awesome. Robert says, I buy unwaxed shellac flakes and use high-proof alcohol to make a sanding sealer and finish.
Oh, that's cool.
And he says, you can then drink the leftover alcohol.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Oh man, I got one little tiny pit in the cholla, but that's not bad.
I remember when I was young making like lemon drop shots with like lemon juice and Everclear.
Yeah.
Isn't Everclear like crazy high?
It's like pure
proof?
alcohol.
Yeah.
I think that looks pretty cool for a fairly straight handle. The beads add a little texture to it, and then it's got that hump in the middle for the grip. I don't want to grab it too hard because I kind of want this finish to sit a little bit. But essentially, I'm going to let it sit for like a couple hours or maybe even till tomorrow. And then I'm going to repeat the mylons that I just did. And, you know, we'll have to try it out and see if it lasts well like I think it will. Because I don't know the answer. That's a good question. Get some of that dust off.
Are you going to take it off and put it on the...
I don't think I'm going to, just because I want to let it sit up. So this is the handle or the head. It's the 4-inch cutter head. We were out of stock of these for Christmas, but they just came in. And my fingerprints are all over this one. But it just threads right on there. So it's going to look really killer. I've made a number of these over the years. If you do craft shows or art shows, these are good sellers.
Yeah.
And the trick is don't underprice them. I mean, use something nice, you know, nice wood and nice resin will step them up. But I remember I used to do some art shows with a friend named Bob, and he had some really cool walnut, like crazy figured walnut handled pizza cutters. And he hadn't sold them in like 5 shows. And I think he had them at like $45. And I was like, dude, that's way too cheap. Like, first of all, the heads are $20, and for $45, it's not even worth your time. Plus, people are going to think they're cheap. And so I talked him into putting them at $95, and he was like, well, they won't buy them at $45. There's no way they'll buy them at $95. And he sold all 3 in like the first 2 hours. And he just couldn't believe it. So ever since then, he was a believer. But if you make it perceive as a lower price item, then people sometimes won't buy it because they're like, oh, that's a cheap thing. It's $50, $40, and it looks like it should be $100, but it's $40, so it must be junk. So perception is definitely a player in selling stuff.
If you did like a plain acrylic one, what do you think you would make your price point?
That's a good question. So pricing is always a fun topic. So this one, if I was doing a art show, now keep in mind, I would resand this back end that I didn't like here. And I do a couple coats of the mylons. I'd probably do at least 3, which would take a couple days because I'll let it sit. This one on that head, I'd put it like 125. So pretty good return on your effort. You know, if you make the blank, obviously you save money. But even if you buy the blank and buy the head, you're in it for $35. 125 is pretty nice return because this you can do this in a half an hour, especially if you're not talking the whole time. The time consuming will be the letting it sit, but I could pop it off the lathe. I would just take my whole mandrel off, do something else, and then put it back on.
Kimberly's asking about the beading tools. Are they a separate tool or do they fit on?
Yeah, the beading tools from Easy Wood, they fit on the existing tools. So they're like the CI, same as these, CI 2. And then there's 4 different sizes, and don't quote me, but it's like 3/16, I don't know, quarter, I don't know, whatever they are. But there's 4 sizes, and they all fit on the same tool, and you can swap them out. I just took this square one out of the classroom and put it on there, and I haven't taken it off yet, so that's why I have an extra one. But they're really cool because you can get different sizes. And no more than you're going to use these at any given time. This will last you forever because it's not like you're turning miles of ribbons with this beading tool. So they're really neat, and they just fit on your existing tool if you have easy wood. So Amy asked, a regular acrylic, not acrylic, resin handle, like a Lumalite. I mean, I'd still be like $85, $90 because that's what I think they're worth. So that's what I would charge. And if somebody doesn't think they're worth it, they won't buy it, and that's fine.
TBC Bushings is in the house, and they said, I told a friend to raise his pen prices higher, and he sold almost all of them after.
Yeah, it really is a thing. Like pricing psychology with people is a real thing. That's why I always tell people, like, you got to have a $500 pen or more on your table, because in people's minds, you're a person who makes $500 pens. Now, they might buy a $60 and $80 pen, and that's fine. But they're getting a guy who makes $500 or a gal who makes $500 pens, they're getting one of their pens for $80. It's a deal. So it's all like psychology. I remember in college, I worked at Safeway, and it kind of hit home. I would be like working the freight or working back stock at the grocery store, and you'd wheel a cart out full of stuff, and people would like go right to it. Like they had to see what was in it and had to have a deal. And then we used to like put stuff in a cart and put a sign on it, and it would sell because people just like had to get that deal. It's weird psychology, shoppers. And I'm not saying you should overcharge, but charge what it's worth. Like if I'm going to make these, it's got to be worth it for me, and that's what I think is worth it. So you do you. If you want to sell them for $45, you're more than welcome to, right?
Yeah.
Free country. So
I would pay like up to probably $125 for one.
I mean, let's be honest.
But we are totally shoppers that like when we go to an art festival, we really appreciate makers and like what they do and the time that went into getting good at something and the time they went into making it. So like. And
we don't have kids, so we can spend money on.
Double income, no kids. That's right.
But also, this isn't something somebody's buying every year. I mean, if somebody pays $125 for a pizza cutter, I'm guessing they're going to have it for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. And if you make it really well, they should have it for a long time, forever. So, anyway.
Jake says, never apologize for your prices. Just say they are expensive and awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Well, good stuff today, everybody. Hopefully it was a little bit of fun, and I'm glad we made it because literally 1 minute before, we didn't think we were going to make it. Or at least not in normal capacity. Next week, there will not be a live stream. I had hoped to have a video for you, but unfortunately, the days just go flying by, and I don't have a video for you. So we will get on it as soon as we get back. We'll be rocking and rolling. Don't forget, if you're in the area and you want to come to the open house on Saturday, the 8th of February, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not in the area, tune in. Is it 10 to 2? 10 to 4-ish. It'll be going all day. And it'll probably be going off and on. Are we going to have each one scheduled?
Yeah, each one will be scheduled.
So each demo will be scheduled. So like there'll be a 10 a.m., an 11:30, a 1 o'clock, or whatever the times are scheduled. So you can always go back and watch them later if you don't catch them live.
Yeah. And I'll do some short bursts for like we'll get Tim on the record power lathe.
We'll do some skew work. Yeah, that'll be fun. Some skew clips.
He's really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And don't forget to check out Jake's Saturday morning cartoons, and you can contribute to Make-A-Wish if you want. There's a lot of cool ways to do that.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
And Zach in the afternoon.
Yeah. We like to watch those, but we're going to miss the next 2 weeks, Jake. We're going to be out of town.
Out of town.
Next 2 Saturdays, I should say.
So I will say that too, but I think we're out the next 2 Wednesdays as well.
Yeah, 2 Wednesdays.
Yeah, so 2 weeks
Wednesday
out.
to Wednesday.
But and we're not really going to be connected very much. So if you're asking questions on socials and I'm not answering you, that's why, because we're gone.
Ask questions in the Turners team because there's so many great people in there that answer questions for each other.
True.
It's super cool.
What time zone is Zach on? Zach is in Nevada, so I think
he's California Pacific time right now.
I think he might be Pacific.
He's 1 p.m. Pacific, I believe.
It's weird because Arizona never changes, so
yeah.
All this time zone.
Jake, what are you, Central right now?
Weird.
Is Jake Central or East Coast? I think he's 2 hours different than us. I don't know.
Hey, thanks, Walt. Walt says, have a great vacation.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Holler at us. Show off your stuff in the Turner's team on Facebook. Turner's Warehouse Turning Team. That thing hit 1,000 members. How cool is that?
I tried to change the name, but it wouldn't let me.
Yeah, I wanted the name to be the Turner's Club or something. Turner's Warehouse Club.
Oh, and this month, the challenge for turners and carvers is spoons.
Oh, that's
so if you turn a spoon, if you carve a spoon, if you have old ones that you've
Oh, we
carved
should
or
have turned a
turned,
spoon.
they totally go put them in the group.
Yeah.
'Cause we love to see them.
It's a lot of fun to see that stuff. And Amy has a spoon she's working on that's really cool.
It's like half done. I don't know. It's half done. It's not that
It's
good
pretty
yet.
cool. That was a good milestone, 1,000 in that group, because I'd say overall it's a pretty positive group and there's a lot of great stuff being shown off, so it's pretty neat. And then the YouTube that you guys are on right now hit 4,000 subscribers, and it's a fairly new YouTube page. I think it just hit 2 years. I mean, we had it for like a long time, but we never used it. And then when Amy came on, she was like, why aren't we using the Turner's TV page? So it's all been since then. So it's good stuff.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, everyone.
Yeah. You guys are the best. This community's awesome. Smash that subscribe. Smash that like.
Yeah, I always forget to work that in. Hey, if you like this project, smash that like button. What else? Don't forget to subscribe with the notifications.
Thank you, everyone. You guys are awesome.
I don't think I have a notification on anything. I don't even know where they are. On YouTube, notifications? I don't know how it works.
Oh.
I think it just tells you when somebody goes live, so that's not a bad
so.
thing. But
No. I think you can pick and choose who
Yeah.
you get notified. Yeah.
Yep. All right, y'all. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.